the whole world shaking, and you feel your heart is breaking. Take my hand, no hesitating. When you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel this, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel this, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Okay. I'm just checking my block. It's going on the block. It's fine. Okay. Good evening. It's November 20th. Looking at my computer. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. I started with my Christmas decorations. To be honest with you, I was looking for like a plaque with a turkey on it, and they get sold out really fast. I mean, basically, if you don't buy any kind of like Thanksgiving decorations by the beginning of October, it's gone. But I have my little elf up, got my tree up, and I'm going to be putting some more bulbs on it and lights, but I got the lights going around the studio, okay? The Chris Gutchell studio for Real Estate with Mr. G. So I'm in the process of getting ready. And today I went to the Peninsula Town Center in Hampton. We are not having the parade this year. It's sad, it wasn't last year because of the pandemic. And I guess they still felt that it's still a little, dangerous to do the parade. I don't think it would have been. I think it would have been fine. But they didn't have it, but they had they had two high school bands there playing. Love hearing the marching bands, especially from the high schools and the local high schools, playing Christmas music. It's really enjoyable. So at least we got that. We didn't get the whole with the floats and this and that. But hopefully there'll be other events around the 7 cities of Hampton Roads that will be joyous and lots of fun. Okay, so that's what that's what's going on to get into the Christmas spirit. And I usually pick a topic to discuss with the live stream podcast from my weekly postings on my blog. realestateWithMrG.blog. But I went today to go over the 10 steps in the home buying process because my daughter and her husband are buying a house actually out in California. And my daughter was saying how confusing the process is. Now, I can't broker the deal there because she's out in California. So she has a buyer's agent out there. And I've been helping her along. But a lot of people, the first time it's overwhelming. And I thought I would just do a show on the 10 steps just to go over that. It seems like you just can't go over the home buying process enough because it's there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of there's nuances to it that that come about. And working with a seasoned trained professional like myself, I will help you with those nuances and teach you about the steps that are coming ahead. Okay? Most of my clients, I believe, and that's why I get nice compliments and reviews, is that I take the time out to inform them about everything along the way. And the best way to deal with it is just to you don't want your clients, my buyers and sellers, just to be shocked, right? Before we start this journey, I like to go over what to expect. And even once we plot it out, there's always other roadblocks along the way. I sometimes get nervous when the deal goes too well because there's usually something that just goes a little, off keel, but then we get it worked out. But it's a long, I don't want to say difficult process, but if you're not in the world of finance, if you're not in the world of real estate, things come up that have to be taken care of. There are situations that come about that have to be worked upon, okay? And a lot of things have to be explained. So we're going to do that today as much as I can, as much as possible. So let's do our little introduction, and then we'll go right into the matter for today. Okay, so let's go right to the meat of the matter. And by the way, first I was going to use my 10 steps in the home buying process that I actually wrote up a few years ago, and I tweaked it a little bit more. It's linear, it's in the outline form. And this you could get on my blog, and you could download it. And let me tell you where you could go. And yeah, it's on the same page of the buyers and sellers guides, which come out quarterly. All right. So right now we have the fall buyers and seller guides. Soon, probably by next month, as soon as we get close to the change of the season, we're going to get into winter. I should have the winter guides out. But on that same page, I put my 10 steps in the home buying process. But what I'm going to use is one that was actually put together by my company, EXP, which is more in a kind of a chart form. It might be easier to follow. So we'll go over that. I'll actually, during the week, upload this chart as well to my blog, and it'll be on the same page. So let's get it up over here, and I will go to the side. And now I'll just hide this so we'll have more room. What's nice about this is that I could stay here. Usually when I have to scroll down, I have to go to another window and scroll it, but now I could see everything here. So the first step, and we're going to your far left, initial consultation with your EXP agent. Hopefully me, where on the top I have Christopher Gargiulo, Associate Broker. So establish your home need and wish list. What do you need in a home? Okay, what are the particulars? If you need a 3-bedroom, if you need a 4-bedroom, if you need a garage, all right? Some people need a double garage, a 2-car garage. Some want to be near water, okay? They want a waterfront property in case they have a boat or, or they just, for personal reasons, okay? Sometimes they want to be within a certain school district. That's a big one as well. Okay. I also want to bring in square footage. Some people need a bigger house than others. So all this comes into accountability of what you need. It could be the amount of bathrooms. Some people definitely want 2.5. They can't just deal with 2. There has to be like an extra half. But a lot of your homes that are around 2,200 square feet, that on 2 levels, and they were built more around the 1990s, will have a half bathroom downstairs, which is nice because if you have plenty of room to entertain, you don't want your guests going upstairs to use the bathrooms. It's just more convenient for them to be downstairs, and it's always like a half bathroom. Unless your guest wants to take a fast shower, they would have to go upstairs. But for a dinner party, a cocktail party, and downstairs you have a half bathroom, and that's pretty nice. Now the second one, we come from there, and the arrow goes down, and this is a big one, and I'm actually going to show a video on this, and getting pre-approved for a loan. And the point I will make now, and I've made in many earlier podcasts, that this is really the first step. I mean, after meeting a wonderful agent like myself, is getting pre-approved for that loan. And it's something that you can't say, well, let me look at some homes first. And then once I see something, then I'll go to the loan officer and get pre-qualified. All right. No, it doesn't work that way, because in my experience, I found out people who really think they have great credit have stinky credit, and people say, "Well, I don't think my credit is not that good," and I find out, yeah, we could get you pre-approved. Okay, so, and then you want to know, most important, and let me step back a little bit, because I have loan officers too. If you can't be pre-approved right now, they will give you recommendations on how to quickly raise that score. And it's not one of these things that you see advertised. I'll clear your credit history. And there was things going on where people were issuing. This is going years back. New social security numbers, and it's not a scam or anything. But there are some creditors that report faster to the credit reporting agencies, all right, than others. And some have more of an impact once you pay down that credit line. So the loan officer will know which credit lines to go to first. If you have extra cash, you got to be making at least your minimum payment, right? But they might say, hey, if you could put an extra, 1,000 down on your Bank of America MasterCard, that's going to bring up your score tremendously. Okay. So they would give you the advice on what to, if you have extra cash, what to pay down first. All right. And a lot of people say, I know what to do and I'll just do. They're not charging for this, the loan officers. They want you, they are only going to make money if you're able to buy a house. If you can't buy a house, they're not going to make any money. So they want you to be able to buy a house. So they will give you advice on what to pay down first. Don't try to do it on your own. Listen to them, and they'll point you in the right direction. And I've had that happen with my clients in the past, where things weren't looking at that point when they wanted to buy. They needed some time. Some cleaned up their credit by next month, right? Within 30 days. Some took about 3 months. And even if the loan officer says you need another 6 months, you need another 12 months, at least you have a plan, okay? At least you have a plan, a deadline to work towards too, okay? So listen to them and don't get discouraged. If they say this is what you have to do, and it might take 3, 6, 9, 12 months, then you just do it. And before you know it, you'll be in a new house. So, but that's the biggest hurdle. And that's the biggest problem. And I know it's not only me, it's with all real estate agents, is pushing their buyers to get pre-approved. I have so many people looking for homes, and we get leads from everywhere, and they say, "Oh, I want to see that." And then you say, "Okay, here's contact information of a loan officer that I worked with in the past. We have a great working relationship. They contact me all the time, even late at night if there's an issue, and we'll get you closed, but you got to call them." All right. And maybe I'll stop for a second. And there's a difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved. Pre-qualified means that you're speaking to the loan officer over the phone, could be over the phone. You tell him or her how much money you make, what's your income. They will then look at your credit report. And this is like very vague right now. And saying, okay, if all of this is true, if this is how much you make, and with your credit looking at right now, I could approve you up to, let's say, 300,000. So that's a pre-qualification, because they really haven't substantiated that income. So once they now, at that point, you start sending in your W-2s, your tax returns, your bank statements, and now they have the hard evidence and saying, okay, this person is making $52,000 a year. All right, I have it in front of me. Everything looks good. And then they'll bring it down to the underwriter, who then is the one that puts a stamp on it. And they'll go through it with a fine tooth and comb. All right. They'll be even more strict about it. And at times, I'm kind of going off course because I wanted to go through these whole steps. But I got to stop on this, because this is the biggest hurdle to get over, is to get that pre-qualification and then pre-approval. Okay. But even once you've been pre-qualified by the loan officer, sometimes the underwriter would say, well, I need to see some further documents on a certain issue. Okay. It doesn't mean you're not going to get the loan. It just needs to they have to make sure that you are getting, for example, a certain amount of income coming in. Okay. I also have a lot of times situations when you have a buyer who's been divorced, and to know exactly who's paying what and what he or she's liable for. in the divorce. Sometimes there's more paperwork needed for that type of situation, okay? Or if you're getting income, let's say from rental properties. And I had a situation where this person had rental properties in the Caribbean, and the people who were renting it in the Caribbean were just putting cash in his bank account, and there was no like checks clearing, whatever, and there was no way to really prove that this money was coming from renters for his properties. We lost the deal, okay? In that situation, we did lose the deal. But these things come up. I mean, again, the majority of the times when the underwriter is asking for additional paperwork doesn't mean that the deal is dead. They just have to make sure all the ducks are in a row. Remember in 2007, 2008, we had like a big crash. All right. And, this when the real estate bubble burst and a lot of people lost their homes. They got homes that they really could not afford. And that's a whole other podcast. I don't want to go off onto another tangent. But just because of that, underwriters have to be more and more careful now when they do the final pre-approval. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our chart. So actually, what they say here, what I brought up to, if you need credit repair, and again, I'm on the lower left-hand corner of the chart. If you need credit repair, if necessary, work with a credit repair specialist. Delay next steps while credit repair and credit approval is underway. All right. So they're saying, in other words, you have to be pre-qualified. Okay. So if there's a little roadblock here and there are things that you're working on, don't go and don't ask your real estate agent to start looking at homes, because if you need like 3 months to get your credit back to where it should be, the homes that are available now in today's market will not be there in 3 months. So at that point, if your credit needs repair, just keep on doing what the loan officer is saying, a credit repair specialist is saying. Just do what you have to do. So once your credit repair is completed, we go to the top here. Inspect your new home. See, here they're actually, they're jumping to right away that you found a home. Okay. But at that point, once your credit is up to par and the loan officer issues a pre-qualified letter, we could start looking at homes, because you have to have that pre-qualification letter once we submit an offer to the listing agent. Okay, the listing agent represents the seller on it. So we send it, and we have to show to the seller that you're able to purchase that home. If you don't have that letter, then it doesn't mean anything. Okay. So right away, they're already moving towards like the inspection of the home. And you see, again, referring back to my daughter, she's out in California. And it seems like this one here this guide is more geared to the way business is done in California. We don't do in this direction. We actually, the contract will come first. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I had a long day. Okay. I'm actually looking to the top here. I really apologize. It goes to make an offer on your new home. Your EXP agent will advise you and prepare the offer. Your offer will be presented to the listing agent, okay? And with that offer, when now everything is done via email. Once we email that offer, it must have that pre-qualification letter with it, okay? So then it goes, if everything is met, okay, if the offer is accepted, that means that we've worked out everything, right? So for instance, we put in the offer, it's for a certain amount of money. Say, so let's go with an example of a $300,000 home, all right? And we offer them full price, but we're asking for 3% back from the seller, okay, to help pay for the buyer's closing cost. And those are bank fees and points and prepaid taxes. And they usually hover around 3%. Some situations they're less. Some situations it's more than 3%, especially if the house is below the amount of around, let's say, $150,000. Okay, then we have to ask for more money back if you want all your closing costs to be paid for. All right. So if they do not agree to, let's say, the 3% closing costs, they most likely will counter and saying, okay, can you either pay your closing costs or maybe I'll meet you halfway instead of 3%, I'll give you 1.5% back. All right. And once all those negotiations are made, okay, we have then the ratified contract. Okay. So we're down here upon acceptance of all your contracted terms. I want to make this even bigger. So I'm going to close my can you get? Let me see if saying that this is a gift that it does not have to be paid back, or it's not going to be paid back. I'm not asking for it to being paid back. The relative who's giving it to you, or the friend that's giving it to you, is giving to you as a gift, right? When someone gives you a gift, they don't say, "Okay, can you give me the cost me $50 and you give me the 50?" No, it's a gift. There's no repayment, because if it was a loan, okay, that adds more to your debt to income, and that could screw things up a lot. All right, especially if you're right at the ratios, which is another. You see, the more I talk about these things, it branches out to more things that we could include in this discussion. All right, there's always something else. Well, what does that mean? Those ratios, okay? So that's not a good thing. So it has to be a gift letter, meaning it doesn't have to be paid back. Now, on your own, you could say, I'm going to pay you back, okay, but it would be just your word. Then you're going to give it back, because it can't be in writing, right? It's a gift. So if you said to your parent or to a relative or to a friend, "I'm going to pay you back," and you don't, and and they want to take you to court, you say, "Well, here's a gift letter. They gave it to me as a gift," So that's one way of going about it. So that earnest money deposit really has to be your money. All right, it has to be within your banking account within the last prior 2 months to the ratification of your contract. Okay. See, like I said, it gets tricky. That's why you need a trusted professional. All right, so now we're gonna go to the other tricky part, which is title work, and I'm gonna close myself. And the final walkthrough happens right before closing, okay? And let's say you ask them to shampoo the rugs, all right? You go there and you expect this, okay, the rugs have been shampooed, that's fine. I asked them to straighten out that cabinet, they did that, okay? So whatever you ask to be repaired, you go make sure that it has been repaired. Sometimes the repairs are in the crawl space, and you don't want to go under the crawl space. So sometimes I've had people, they have the inspector come out just to check those items. And usually for them to come back out, it's been around $100 to do that. I don't want to quote that for every single home inspector, but they usually don't charge the full amount, which could be $350, $375 or so. All right, but you want to make sure that before you move in the house is exactly the way it was when you first purchased it. That if you had repairs done, you want to make sure those repairs have been done. And we don't have this happening so much now, but when the stainless steel appliance came out, they were very expensive. So sellers would show the home with a brand new refrigerator and a brand new stove and a brand new microwave, all stainless steel, and the dishwasher. But what they did when they were getting ready to move, they put back all the old appliances. And what you want to make sure that all those appliances that you saw when you first fell in love with the property is there. Okay. All right. So I really talked a lot. I didn't want, like I always say, I like to keep this around 30 minutes. It's a big topic, and I apologize if I went too long. And I think sometimes what I have to do is really break down, maybe break down it in thirds, and go over into detail on that. But it's a long process. But what I want to do is to show this little video on the importance of being pre-qualified, which is, like I said, it's like the biggest step in the process. It's right at the beginning, and it's the biggest task that I need so many of my buyers to do, and they always put it off. See that I threw in the farmer showing the nice vegetables for Thanksgiving dinner. Then you saw the turkey. So I tried to make it very nice. So, well, anyway, okay. So if you're ready to look at homes, just go to realestatewithmrg.com, and you could search all homes in Hampton Roads. Actually, if you're selling a home, you could click on sell in the top menu, and you can enter your address and get a value on your home. I will receive that request and then fine tune it. Okay, but that's something good to get. So, and you can register on my website. and I could start showing you homes or working on listing your home. Okay. And on this part of my website, on the resource materials, I will have my 10 steps in the home buying process, but I'll also upload this graphic as well. Okay. So, with that being said, I hear that from my producer that we have a famous celebrity in the audience, and it's actually nice for the beginning of the Christmas season that we have this guest. So who is it, William?
Great news! We have a celebrity in the audience. He was an American singer, musician, and actor known for his many appearances on Ed Sullivan and his recording of the song I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. Ladies and gentlemen, little Jimmy Boyd.
It was really nice seeing him again. Little Jimmy Boyd still looks pretty good. Okay, so I have to say, our next show will be after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is this Thursday. I wish you the happiest Thanksgiving. I pray that you could be with your families. You might not have been able to be with them last year, or you said the heck with these rules, but I just hope you have a joyous and loving Thanksgiving. All right, and then as we move along to the Christmas season, so be kind to each other. If you haven't been vaccinated, I would say please get vaccinated, and if you have not, please wear your mask. And remember, the greatest power we have is to love, and the greatest gift, each other. I'll see you next week, and happy Thanksgiving again.